Listen, I know this makes me look like a super nerd, but I have the shirt and it just makes sense that I wear it for the video. Hi, welcome back to whatever this is. My name is Kaysa, I'm online, and today we're dipping into Greek mythology and how it ruined my life. It didn't ruin my life, I'm just being dramatic. I'm also not going to talk about all of Greek mythology, only the bits that influenced my life. You probably saw by the thumbnail I'm one of those nerds who think themselves an expert in mythology because of the book series I read. Rick, you're a legend because you gave my kid mind something to do for years. Before we dive into anything, I want to mention a couple of things. One, I wrote the script the day before I had to edit anything. We're making progress. The second thing is to remember to subscribe, like, and comment. It lets me know that you guys are actually there and I'm not talking to a void. Makes me feel seen and gives me enough dopamine to make it to the next video. Now, to the topic at hand. I read the Percy Jackson and Olympians book series as a kid. Really a mouthful, that title. And I also read most of the other books in the other different series. I've watched the movies as well, and those were all I had for the longest time besides the new books he was writing while I was essentially in college. And I'm not caught up because I am no longer the same person who read those books. I can't pay attention the same way while also working 40 hours a week. It's one or the other at this point. However, a year ago, we finally got a continuation of the series as a live action. Far more accurate to the book, especially since the actual writer of the book series was involved in writing the scripts and also in the filming and production process. And as of right now, the show was renewed for both a season 2 and a season 3. So the next season is supposed to come out in December. It's going to take a little bit of a while, but I'm also waiting on other shows as well to come out. So wait, I shall. I also want to talk about a game that I'm going to mention a little bit later, so stay tuned for that. If you like playing video games or want to know why I think this game in particular is a great example of a passion that dies hard, stay around. So PJO, shortened version of Percy Jackson and the Olympians, the book series is about a kid who finds out he has magical powers because he's the son of a very powerful, well-known being. Sounds like a familiar plot to many other stories, except in this world, no one pretends to care about the diverse backgrounds and personalities of the characters in the story. Percy would wreck Harry, just saying. I also didn't read Harry Potter as a kid. I saw like one movie and then I think I fell asleep. So that is what it is. This story is about a 12-year-old kid. His name is Percy Jackson.
My name is Percy Jackson. Am I a troubled kid? Yeah, you could say that.
Surprise! Everyone's accusing him of stealing Zeus's master ball.
Has been stolen.
Because of this, Zeus wants him dead.
Nice.
And also he finds out he's a demigod. So monsters also want him dead. And his mom gets taken by Hades, but at first we think she's also dead.
You're gonna need to be brave now.
So it's a lot of unaliving happening, or at least the threat of unaliving. Essentially, since his mom was taken by Hades, they do have to go on a quest to go save his mom. So he goes with Annabeth and Grover. So that's your three main characters of the story. By the way, his stepfather is also abusive. His dad is Poseidon and doesn't really want to talk to him. That is a central point, especially in the second movie or second book as well. And Zeus also wants to declare war on Poseidon as well. Also, the reason why Hades took Percy's mom is because he's missing his helm and also thinks Percy stole the helm. So he's actually the one sending some monsters, especially the Furies, against Percy. There's a mix-up. Ares also shows up. There's a guy in a pit and it's all a mess. So long story short, Percy returns the bolt and the main characters don't die. Also, his mom is still alive, so that's a win. And the live action pretty much follows everything except for the abusive father-stepfather sort of bit.
Welcome home, genius.
Is my mom home from work?
Oh, is that all you gotta say to me? After failing out of school?
Fail out of school?
Your principal called, and that's what he said.
They called mom's cell. You answer mom's cell?
I answer whatever's ringing. So what'd you get kicked out for?
They said I attacked a kid on a field trip.
Okay.
Sally! More beer!
Hey, Mom, look, we gotta talk, okay?
Hey! Can't you see she's servicing me and my friends?
Hey, don't talk about my mom like that, you bald-headed freak.
Calm down!
Hey, nice one. Like I said, I'm your protector.
Probably not Disney friendly, and the mom is also a lot more assertive in the show off the bat, so love that for her. I really do. I'm not mad at that change or anything, but we don't get the satisfying Sally, who's Percy's mom, turning Gabe, the stepfather, into a statue with Medusa's head and selling him so she can have enough money to go to college. I guess that's a win that will stay in my generation's heart. The show was nice. You know, it actually captured the mystical whimsy of a world that's right in front of you, but you can't really see it because it's behind the veil. And the intention of the designs and the set and how it was carried from East Coast to West Coast to Hades really captured me. Mainly because it satisfied the expectations I had previously when the film was first announced when I was a kid. I mentioned in my most recent video that design plays a huge role along with the design. The story itself is also compelling, and something that a lot of book to screen adaptations will mess up for some reason. For whatever reason, things get lost in translation, I guess. But mostly I just think it's because they don't actually care to know what the story's about. They hear a synopsis and they're just like, well, I can write something similar to that. The story is about a kid who has dyslexia and ADHD, by the way, who is dealing with family. In the show, that is a central part. Family and the relationships you have with the people around you are quite important. And I think it's quite fitting that it should be a Greek mythology inspired story about family dynamics, since the mythology itself is loaded with family drama and discourse. There are various themes in the show, whether or not you should have loyalty to family out of obligation or to make decisions based on your own values, adapt to old traditions and rules, or challenge them for the sake of progress, or even what it means to find your place in the world when it doesn't feel like you fit in anywhere. Before we get into the nitty-gritty of topic of family values, I'll address the elephant in the room. Yes, they're technically all related. Incest is weirdo business with your close relatives, and I'm just gonna go ahead and categorize gods all as being distant in DNA. Now, to make things less weird, let's talk about it, okay? In every other context, that has nothing to do with supernatural beings like being a child of a god. I would probably raise all my 2 eyebrows when it comes to incest. Like Game of Thrones, my eyebrows all the way raised, okay? However, in so many creation stories, deities will procreate with their siblings to then explain the things that exist. Almost like that alchemy game we all played out of boredom, you know, the app one you get on your phone. And Zeus literally married to his sister. Zeus is literally married to his sister, Hera. But also, in the same world, the gods can shapeshift and have children with just about anyone or anything. Aphrodite was literally born from the ocean foam, I think, and Uranus bits. Poseidon turned into a horse and procreated with Demeter, who was also a horse at the time, and they had a horse child named Arion. There is a mother of monsters named Echidna. So the demigods are all cousins who date amongst each other, but just not with their siblings. Like, that is established. But I will also say, if I was born in a world where my mom conceptually thought me into existence, while her own birth was also springing from the forehead of my grandfather who ate my grandmother to hide the fact that he cheated on his wife, my grand aunt, I'd give a little more leeway too. As long as I get my powers and avoid a foot-long chin, I think I'd be fine. Besides, I'd be too busy fighting for my life anyway, so, you know. Remember, monsters are trying to kill you. You're like 12. It's really stressful. And canonically, some of these monsters are also distant relatives. So, talking about Greek mythology and family dynamics can get a little complicated, which is why I appreciate the PJO series. In the show, they really focus on establishing that Sally is Percy's foundation. They have a good relationship even when things get complicated.
That's me.
That's who you're named after.
Because he was a hero?
Because he was brave and kind and against all odds, he managed to find his way to a happy ending.
That's why I love the call to action, which is to tear all of that away from him as soon as possible. And there's no story when you don't feel like your life is falling apart. So, you know, that's what I tell myself every day to cope with my life right now. It shows Percy struggling to understand himself and this life that he's been thrown into and didn't want. All his life he has been rejected by most everyone for being different, and this new situation he's in isn't any different from that. In fact, it's even more exaggerated because every other kid is competing for glory and recognition just like he is. For them, being recognized and achieving higher is literally their lifeline. They may be acknowledged by the gods who will reward them, but also may aid them in life-threatening situations. Their lives are literally to be used by the gods as champions and heroes as a way to survive. That's part of the problem and why some demigods choose to turn their backs against the gods. The major conflict and driving force behind the missing bolt and helm is because one of the demigods did in fact steal Zeus's bolt. They use that in hopes to start a war amongst the gods because they are notorious for picking sides and fighting among themselves, where humanity and the world tends to be the casualties. The hope, in this case, is for Kronos, great-grandpa, to take advantage of the discourse and bring down the gods. That is the plot of the whole book series, actually, but it's revealed in the first book and first season of the show anyway. And I've heard the stories of deities were created to explain natural phenomenon and to help conceptualize values and character. A goddess of wisdom is a conceptualized understanding of what it means to be wise, not that a single entity holds all there is to know and is the embodiment of wisdom. This is not to say that Athena doesn't exist. Both meanings can exist, you know. Athena can exist. I'm not saying she doesn't. I'm just saying, you know, whatever it is. Something relativity and perception, you know? And take all these concepts and make great stories about them. While you're at it, make them a family. Have them interact with humanity for a few millennia, and as you can guess, chaos ensues. Take that understanding of the gods and add children in the modern era to it. There is an obvious clash there. Because family of the old world of Greek mythology and the values behind it is very different from how we approach it now, Percy is the one who makes that very clear throughout the entire stories. He legitimately treats the gods as if they're something to be managed or to be making compromises with.
They obey because they're afraid. Ares, your son, he turned on you the moment someone stronger showed up. Do you really think he'll be the last? How afraid of you do you think they'll be when your dad shows up looking to put you back in your place?
Which is something many people can relate to with their own families. Why do I bring this up? Because just like Percy, it gets to a point where you are no longer allowed to be in your own world that you were raised in. You are thrown into a space where a very different truth and reality hits you hard, and there are only so many things you can choose to do while you're floundering about as a new grown adult or whatever the context is. And it is so unbelievably disenfranchising to be raised in a certain family context, and then as an adult you find out that it never had to be that way. Even to the tiniest things, like my parents could have bought me a $100 Empire State Building Lego set. I swear to the gods I'm really considering buying it now, but it's like $200 now. So I'll be linking my GoFundMe to get me my Lego architecture sets. The way family dynamics work can be overwhelming and it can be indoctrinating. In a time where we are pointing out that just about everything we have is somehow managed or coordinated like a cult, I think it's important to say that you don't have to do exactly everything like you were told. Yes, there are agreed upon right and wrong ways, but just because you can rationalize something based on the fact that's just how it's been done, doesn't mean that's the way or the only way. Let me introduce you to a thing called perception. If I was born in a society that ate people, we wouldn't think it's wrong. We'd have a rational explanation for why we do it. However, I was born and you were likely born in a society that says eating people is wrong. Why would I be okay with a society that may eat me? What if people try to unalive me or build a horrific farm to slaughterhouse pipeline just for people? Who gets to eat people? How you perceive and your values shape your perspective. Say you were never introduced to the concept of eating another human being until you were a full-grown adult. Frontal lobe fully developed so you can make better choices, I'm hoping. And if I were a person from a cannibalistic society meeting you, you'd think I was insane. You think anything I'd say to rationalize it wouldn't be worth thinking about. I could say, in my society, we only eat people who have died. There is no killing or sacrifice for the sake of cannibalism. I also say that it's an honor, the life of the one who has lived by consuming their energy to pass on to us, thereby having them continue living through us. It's a great way to let someone know in the afterlife that they have been valued in the fullest. To let a body rot and not be eaten, to let it be eaten by worms, is a dishonor and a rejection. To not be eaten is to let your body become ugly and to further shame it. That is, as much as I don't want to actually encourage cannibalism, a valid reason as a society, and is, if I remember, some of the real reasons why historically documented cannibalistic societies have eaten people. So it being morally wrong is flipped on its head, being morally wrong to not eat somebody. This seems so disjointed, but this is what I mean by perception and indoctrination. The way you think and see the world has been formed, and the foundation that it was formed on can always be altered. So family dynamics are something that creates the foundation. It's so easy to get caught up in the cycles of how we think we are supposed to address the world. Many people are put into positions to have that reality challenged. It's often challenged in times where the information presented completely contradicts what you've been comfortable with knowing. And I want to emphasize, there is comfort in what you think you know about reality. It's why so many people don't change. It would psychologically make them too uncomfortable, and many people, especially in the West, do not have the discernment and security to deal with discomfort. So, life is what you make it. It's also why Haruki Murakami said, always remember that to argue and win is to break down the reality of the person you are arguing against. It is painful to lose your reality, so be kind, even if you're right. It's also why Plato's Cave is so important to know, which is named after a Greek philosopher, which brings us back to Greece, and Greece has a lot of mythologies, and now we're back to PJO. Good show, okay? Full circle. Please watch the show if you have Disney Plus or by whatever means. Another Greek mythology related story that involves the conflict of family dynamics is the game Immortals Fenyx Rising. I played this game to the fullest that I was willing to go. I remember the first time I saw an ad for it and I was just like, I gotta play this game. This is like, I'm just so for it. And it's not the only Greek mythology related game, but the protagonist, can I speak, gets to have wings. I also have 2 Pegasi, by the way. One is mint silver. And the plot of the game is more on the campier side. If you saw and listened to the dialogue, you'd know that someone crafted the story to be one of those redemption arcs for the gods as you go on quests to return their stolen essences, or redemption arcs for Zeus specifically, I guess. But in this world, Typhoon is released and he just wants the gods to stay out of the way while he makes the world perfect again. And you, Phoenix, are showing up and you're like, whoa, this is a problem. And everyone has also been turned to stone. So there's that. That's the intro. And spoilers, okay, warning. Zeus is the one who turned everyone to stone because he was just done with humanity being terrible. And Prometheus, the narrator of the story, is the one telling you your story, but also is telling the story to Zeus. And it helps, he helps by using his gift of prophecy to stop Typhoon, of whom he helped to release in the first place. So that was the whole thing too. And Prometheus is narrating the story and trying to get at Zeus, and which is also sort of reminiscent of Chaos as well. But since Chaos came out years after the game, I guess it's more of a precursor. All of this is to get Zeus to have a better perspective of his family so he can treat them better. I don't know a story where Zeus isn't the main asshole of the story, or at least in the same ballpark. But you learn throughout the game that, well, Zeus is a bad dad. You also learn that you are the child of Zeus, so that's something. You also learn that your half-brother Ligurion is a lion hoe, and he wasn't worth saving in my opinion, but whatever. Zeus is one thing, but Ligurion, like, trying to kill all the gods so you can be the only god is just stupid to me, but whatever, I guess. I also mentioned earlier that this game showed me how passion dies hard. So the game is beautiful and it's cute. It's not the best game in the world. You'll see some reviews if you look it up. They're not great. But, I focused on completing this game and the storyline, and may even play it again in a harder mode, so I can have more fun trying to fight the monsters if I ever come around to dealing with the controls. But it has some bugs. Definitely has some bugs. And the key bindings irritate me. Also, there are just so many puzzles. There are so many puzzles. They're everywhere. Everywhere you go, there's just puzzles everywhere. And I get it, that's part of the game function. Sometimes I just don't feel like dealing with a puzzle. Sometimes I would just rather just fight. I don't know. That's just me, okay? And I like challenges, but sometimes if there are too many puzzles next to the challenges, I just get tired. And there's this one puzzle that it wasn't even a puzzle. I guess it was a skill issue, but the way that you're supposed to be able to do it is stupid, and you can't convince me otherwise. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, this isn't a skill issue. This is why did you even put this in here in the first place? Why are you doing this? It's wasting my time. So I didn't finish it. Before I finished the game, I saw some DLCs. Have the DLCs. And before I did the DLCs, I did look at some reviews. The very first game, the actual game itself has mostly positive reviews, okay? So let's start there. It's mostly positive. If you play it, you'll probably have some sort of fun. Dialogue's a little corny, but like, it's supposed to be campy and fun like that. That's fine. But the DLCs, all of them have negative reviews. None of them. And I was like, maybe this is one of those things where like so few people played it. You can even see in the achievement list that so many people didn't even get to the achievements of the game. And that's not good for a game, by the way. A lot more people should be getting the main achievements, especially the ones that happen all at the beginning. I know why the DLCs have such bad reviews. I could barely get into them at all. So the New God DLC is fine, but holy fuck am I tired of doing flying challenges. I just stopped doing them. I stopped doing the DLC. I don't need to be a god. I'll be fine. I also didn't get to customize my character the way that I wanted. They only transferred over the clothing customs and your horses. That's it. So that kind of sucks. I can't even customize my own bird. And I did the Hermes challenge, which was like racing and shooting on the first little bit, but like, I entertained it, but then I went to do Aphrodite's challenge. It was just more flying challenges. Like, I don't want to do that anymore. That's not no. I stopped there. I was like, you guys don't have new content. I'm good. And I thought maybe I'll go back at a different time. But then I went to the Lost Gods DLC, and unfortunately I ran into another issue. Why is the camera stuck at the top? Can we just talk about that for a second? And why can't I sprint? Do I just dash and hop forward and hope I don't get hit with an enemy I don't see on the other side of the screen? Also, do you expect me to run around the tiny island waiting for enemy hordes to respawn so I can have enough gems to complete the task I have, which is to upgrade my weapon skill? And the only puzzle on the island I can't do because I'm too weak to move the boxes. Also, why did you change the colors of everything? Purple, amber, yellow pomegranates, yellow mushrooms, green figs. Like, what are we doing this for? What are we doing? And by the way, I actually did try to go in and figure out how to upgrade the freaking weapon or whatever, but this whole air essence doesn't exist. I couldn't find it. I couldn't find it, game. I couldn't find it. I gathered all the different materials. I fought all the monsters. But when you go in to upgrade at the pedestal thing, all you have are boons and just whatever is that. Like, there is no air essence. Where is this air essence? And then also, you don't have the stamina bar on the screen, so why do you keep giving me little stamina orbs? What is going on? So yeah, passion dies hard. Suffice it to say, I didn't make it far with that either, and I want to, but I don't know what the hell's going on with that. It's also borderline unplayable. Also, as far as I got, there is no story there. That's not entirely true. Lost Gods has a story, but I never got to see it because I lost my patience. And New God has a story of becoming a new god because technically you're a demigod, but I guess you just want to live as a god now, like whatever. Spoiler, she becomes a goddess of unity. I found that out in the Lost Gods DLC. But New God, you're just joining the club by doing challenges. So the passion of building the game is no longer there. Okay, it's not a game anymore. The DLCs are really just random add-ons. Okay, DLCs are usually supposed to be add-ons or small extensions to the main story, like events or new functions. This attempt, I don't know what it is. Like, it just, they didn't know what to do with itself, and like, the passion for the game died as soon as the first game rolled out. It really said, here are some challenges, I guess, pay us up to $80 for the gold edition and the DLCs altogether. And yes, I have the gold edition and the DLC, but did I pay upwards of $80? Absolutely not. Here's some backstory. This game came out in 2022. That's the time when my Xbox still turned on. It doesn't anymore. And I asked my mom to get me the game for Christmas, and she did. And I never finished playing it. I didn't even make a dent in it. Like, I barely even started playing it. But I thought about it, streaming it. 3 years later, I streamed it on my PC for a little bit, and then I took another pause, and it is what it is. So I went into Steam and I looked it up, and the gold edition for Immortals Fenyx Rising, the New Gods, the Lost Gods, the Eastern Gods, and the Battle Pass were on sale. I bought all of it plus tax for $6.35, which is funny because the recent spring sale had it for like $13. So I'm not mad at my purchase, like, you know. The same purchase that sat on my PC for months until I was recently interested again. So if I can make a request to the game developers of anything at all, just make a new game and fix the bugs from before. Have better controls and more things to do, more fighting, more monsters, you know, different things. If you want to get better writing, do that too. Improve on the game. Listen to what your community is telling you. Like, it was a good game, you know. Not saying it has to be the next God of War or Black Myth Wukong, but the ideas for the DLCs were great. Just the ideas. From here, just make a new game. It was cute to play, open world and stuff. Typhoon has a whole overbite and everything. It was fun. It's also trying to find the purple crystals kind of pissed me off, but apparently having good defense on your armor doesn't really matter, so whatever. And I would not recommend 100% of the game if you only care about getting to the end. Like, just upgrade your weapons enough and unlock your skills enough, get some, you know, good health, and you don't need to hit every single vault. You don't need all the stamina because they have armor for that. You can just upgrade and get better armor. And on normal mode, you know, I just flew right through. Took me like around 60 to 70 hours. It's really not that deep. You know, and this is coming from a person who attempted a 100% with Black Myth Wukong the first playthrough. And I didn't finish. I would say I got like 98% of the way. But I couldn't beat Erlong. And he crushed my spirit, not gonna lie. Congratulations, you made it to the end of the video. Thank you for watching. What did you think? Did you read the Percy Jackson and the Olympians book series and all the other series? Should I talk about the Kane Chronicles and how that they almost had a TV show that was going to go on Netflix, but they canceled that? Or, you know, did you watch the live action show that's on Disney Plus? Did you play Immortals Fenyx Rising? I don't. The game kind of came and died, as far as I know. And what are your thoughts? Or do you think that everything I said about family and perspective was off the mark? Let me know let me know in the comments. Let me know in the comments. Please also like and subscribe. Also let me know if you want me to review something else in particular or if you want me to stream a game. I wouldn't mind streaming Phoenix. I was thinking about streaming God of War Ragnarok, but you know, I'm trying to get back into streaming again. I just need to make a schedule that works for me. Okay, bye.